The weak version of you is the one that hits snooze, scrolls for hours, avoids hard conversations, and settles for average. She whispers excuses like, I'm tired, tomorrow will be easier. That voice? That's your enemy. And if you don't crush her, she will own your life. Here's the truth. Weakness doesn't show up with a warning. It shows up in your daily choices. Every time you delay, every time you quit, every time you let comfort win, you're feeding her. So how do you kill her? Brutal honesty. Stop lying to yourself. Say the hard words. I didn't show up. I quit. I made excuses. That sting will wake you up. Then, discipline. No snooze button, no later. You move when it's time to move. Structure, routine, accountability. That's how strength is built. And you train harder than life hits. Push your body, your mind, your tolerance for discomfort. Cold showers, workouts, silence, pressure. When life throws punches, you'll already be unbreakable. Finally, strength isn't a one-time act. It's a choice you make daily. You either choose to show up as the strong version of you, or you let weakness win. So ask yourself right now, am I feeding my weakness, or am I crushing it every single day? Weakness doesn't just appear when life gets tough. It hides in your daily habits. It's not the big failures that expose it first. It's the small, sneaky choices you make every day that stack up and suffocate your potential. You want to know where the weak version of you lives? Look at the moments where you hesitate, where you excuse yourself, where you settle for good enough. That's where she breathes. The weak version shows up in the morning when the alarm rings and you negotiate with yourself. 5 more minutes won't hurt. That single decision sets the tone for your entire day. Weakness doesn't scream, it whispers. It whispers in every skipped workout, every undone task, every conversation you avoided because it was uncomfortable. Weakness thrives in delay, in hesitation, in that little sigh when you say, not now, I'll do it later. And here's the truth. Later never comes. Later is weakness's favorite trap. The strong version of you doesn't wait, she acts. The weak version waits for motivation, the right time, the perfect plan. She's always preparing, but never moving. You need to call her out. Because the longer you ignore her, the more she owns you. Start spotting her patterns. She's in the excuses you repeat. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I deserve a break. Sound familiar? Those are her calling cards. Write them down. Don't let them hide in the shadows of your subconscious. The moment you write them on paper, they lose power. Weakness survives because you let it stay vague, unspoken, comfortable. Once you drag it into the light, you can't unsee it. Take your environment. The weak version of you is addicted to comfort. The cozy blanket, the glowing screen, the easy distractions. She wants everything soft, predictable, unchallenged. She'll have you reaching for food you don't need, scrolling through people's lives instead of building your own, gossiping instead of grinding. And you call it relaxing. No, it's feeding her. Butting the weak version means refusing to accept her disguises. She hides behind logic. You worked hard yesterday, you can skip today. She hides behind kindness. Don't be too hard on yourself. And worst of all, she hides behind waiting. You'll start once things calm down. You'll push when life feels easier. Let me tell you, life will never feel easier. Waiting for the perfect time is weakness's sharpest weapon. If you want to crush her, you've got to track her. Start a daily log. Every time you catch yourself avoiding, hesitating, or excusing, write it down. At first, you'll hate what you see. You'll realize how often you let her run the show. But that's the point. Awareness creates accountability. When you spot the weak version in action, you strip her of invisibility. And don't just spot her, expose her. Say it out loud. That's weakness talking. When you don't want to train, when you don't want to work, when you're about to waste another hour scrolling, call her out. Make it uncomfortable. Because once you give weakness a name, you can fight her. Here's the tactical drill. Tomorrow morning, when you don't want to get up, hear that voice say, stay in bed. Don't argue, don't negotiate, get up immediately. That one move crushes her. When you don't want to hit the gym, go anyway. Don't give her oxygen. You want to spot the weak version? Look at the thing you're most avoiding right now. That's where she lives. Weakness is not some ghost out there. She's not someone else's problem. She's yours. She's the easy choice, the skipped step, the avoided challenge. She's you, but only the part of you that you've trained to be lazy, soft, and unaccountable. You built her, which means you can break her. Start spotting her today, because if you can't even see the weak version of yourself, you'll never stand a chance of crushing her. Weakness doesn't just sit quietly in the corner. It talks to you. And the most dangerous part? It talks in your voice. It convinces you with smooth lies that sound so reasonable, so harmless, that you don't even notice you're sabotaging yourself. The weak version of you doesn't say, "Quit now." She says, "You deserve a break." She doesn't scream, "Stay soft." She whispers, "You'll do better tomorrow." Those are not truths, those are lies. And until you expose them, they'll keep chaining you to mediocrity. The first lie is, "I don't have time." You know that's not true. You have time, you're just spending it wrong. Hours disappear into scrolling, into gossip, into worrying about things you can't control. That's not a lack of time, that's a lack of discipline. When you say you don't have time, what you're really saying is, "I won't make time." And the weak version of you eats that excuse for breakfast. The second lie is, "I'll start when I feel ready." You won't. You'll never feel ready. That's weakness disguising fear. Readiness doesn't come before action, it comes after. The strong version of you understands that confidence is earned through movement, not waiting. If you're waiting to feel ready, you're waiting forever. The third lie is, "I'm just being kind to myself." Self-care is real, yes, but what most people call kindness is actually permission to stay weak. Binging because you had a tough day? That's not kindness, that's self-sabotage. Skipping your commitments because you deserve rest? That's not compassion, that's compromise. You don't build strength by pampering your weakness. You build it by demanding more from yourself, even when you don't want to. The fourth lie is, "I'm doing my best." Really? If you're honest, are you truly giving your best, or are you giving what feels convenient? My best has become the shield people hide behind when they don't want to push further. Brutal honesty check. Your best is measured not by what's comfortable for you, but by what's required to grow. Most times, you're not at your best. You're at your minimum, and you know it. So here's your tactical shift. Practice radical, brutal honesty. Strip yourself of the sugar-coated language that keeps weakness alive. Don't say, "I was tired." Say, "I chose not to show up." Don't say, "I'll do it tomorrow." Say, "I wasted today." That honesty will sting, but it's the sting that wakes you up. Weakness thrives on denial, strength thrives on truth. Here's a drill. For 1 week, track every time you break a promise to yourself. Didn't get up when the alarm rang? Write it down. Skipped your training? Write it down. Ate what you said you wouldn't? Write it down. At the end of the week, review it. Look your weakness in the eye. Most people won't do this because they're afraid to confront themselves. But confrontation is the only way forward. Because until you expose the lies, you'll never see how often you're handing weakness the win. Think of it this way. Every time you let those lies slide, you're practicing weakness. You're rehearsing failure. But when you call yourself out, you're training strength. Now, exposing lies isn't about tearing yourself down. It's about cutting the crap so you can rebuild honestly. Weakness feeds on soft language, on blurred lines, on excuses dressed up as care. Strength speaks plain. I didn't do the work. I let fear win. I avoided the challenge. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. And clarity is power. Once you practice this, you'll notice something. Weakness loses her grip. Lies only have power when you believe them. The moment you expose them, they shrivel. The weak version of you hates honesty, because honesty is the mirror that shows her for what she is: fragile, fearful, manipulative. So here's your bottom line. Every day, you either live by truth or by lies. Lies keep you soft. Lies keep you stagnant. Lies let the weak version run the show. But truth? Truth makes you sharp. Truth forces you to act. Truth turns you into the woman who doesn't settle, doesn't excuse, doesn't wait, she executes. Expose the lies, and you expose your weakness. And when she's exposed, you can finally crush her. Weakness feeds on comfort. She thrives in soft routines, in easy choices, in anything that makes you feel good in the moment but costs you strength in the long run. You know it. Comfort is seductive. The warm bed, the scrolling screen, the extra slice, the skipped workout. Comfort feels safe, but it's a trap. And the only antidote is discipline. Filler is not glamorous, it's not exciting, it doesn't ask if you feel like it. Discipline is structure. Discipline is boring routines repeated until they become law. Discipline is doing the thing when you least want to do it. Weakness begs for comfort. Strength demands discipline. That's the line. Think about your mornings. Comfort says, stay in bed. It's only 10 more minutes. Discipline says, get up, now. The moment you move, you win. That small action sets the tone for your day. One decision of discipline over comfort creates momentum. But one decision of comfort over discipline poisons your whole routine. And here's the truth, you can't grow if you only move when you feel like it. Growth lives in the space where you act without motivation. That's why discipline must become your non-negotiable. Create rules for yourself, not suggestions, rules. Wake up at the same time every day, train when you said you would, stick to your commitments even when you're tired. Weakness negotiates, discipline doesn't. Comfort is easy. It doesn't challenge you, but it costs you. Every time you choose comfort, you train your brain to retreat. You hardwire weakness into your system. But every time you choose discipline, even in small ways, you train strength. You rewire yourself into someone who doesn't hesitate, doesn't fold, doesn't bargain. Practical drill, set 3 non-negotiables in your day. 1 for your body, 1 for your mind, 1 for your growth. Maybe it's a 20-minute workout, reading 10 pages of a book, journaling or writing down your goals. That's your baseline, no excuses. When life gets chaotic, you still execute. This is how you outgrow weakness, not through giant leaps, but through daily disciplined reps. And stop glamorizing balance. Balance is often code for comfort. Strength requires sacrifice. You will not get stronger by always doing what feels balanced, what feels easy. Discipline requires you to choose structure even when you'd rather relax. To say no when others say yes. To keep going when everyone else quits. That's why strength is rare, because comfort is common. Another drill, accountability. Don't just rely on your own willpower, create systems. Tell a friend your plan, track your progress on paper, hire a coach, set timers. Discipline isn't just about trying harder, it's about building systems that make weakness irrelevant. When you rely on discipline alone, you might win some days. When you build a disciplined structure, you win every day. And let's be clear, comfort will fight back. It will tempt you with easy exits. You'll hear, skip the gym, you deserve it, or order takeout, it's faster. That's weakness disguised as self-care. But every time you fall for it, you make weakness stronger. Discipline is about refusing to negotiate. You set the rule and you follow it, no matter how you feel. Think of soldiers, athletes, leaders. They don't become great by doing what's easy. They become great because they trained when they didn't want to. They repeated the same drills until they became automatic. Their comfort zone became discipline itself. That's what you're building, not motivation, not hype, discipline. So here's your challenge. The next time you face a choice between comfort and discipline, pause. Ask yourself, which version of me am I feeding right now? Then choose discipline, over and over again, until it's no longer a choice, it's who you are. Discipline is freedom, comfort is a cage. One makes you sharp, the other makes you soft. Decide which one you're training, because at the end of the day, you either master discipline or you stay mastered by weakness. Life is not polite. It doesn't wait until you're ready. It doesn't soften the blow because you're tired or fragile. Life will hit you with rejection, betrayal, failure, illness, heartbreak. The question isn't if you'll get hit. The question is, will you be strong enough to stay standing when it happens? Here's the harsh truth. If you don't train harder than life hits, you'll fold the first time it punches you in the face. Weakness will crawl out, grab the wheel, and steer you straight into excuses, breakdowns, and self-pity. That's why training isn't optional, it's survival. Weakness thrives when everything is easy. But strength is born when you step into discomfort on purpose. Controlled hardship is the only way to outgrow fragility. You can't wait for life to toughen you up. You have to toughen yourself before life even tries. So how do you train harder than life hits? You put yourself through stress before life does. Physical training is one weapon. Push your body until your mind screams to quit. That last rep you don't want to do? That's where weakness lives. Crush her there. Cold showers, long runs, heavy lifts, whatever it is. Use physical discomfort to remind yourself, I can take more. Mental training is another weapon. Sit in silence with no phone, no distraction. Most people can't last 5 minutes because their own thoughts terrify them. Weakness wants noise and comfort. Strength sits with the discomfort of silence until it bends. Practice focus under pressure, set a timer, write non-stop, solve hard problems without escaping. That's mental conditioning. Stress drills build resilience. Want an edge? Do things that force you out of control in safe environments. Public speaking, hard conversations, negotiating when you're nervous. These controlled stressors teach your brain to stay calm when real chaos comes. Weakness panics, strength regulates. The more you train under chosen pressure, the more unshakable you become when unchosen pressure hits. Here's a tactical drill. Pick one discomfort and add it to your day. Maybe it's a cold shower. Maybe it's running that extra mile. Maybe it's working without your phone nearby. Don't start with 10 things. Start with one. Commit. When you master one, stack another. Over time, your tolerance for discomfort will dwarf the average person's. And understand this. Training harder than life hits isn't just about toughness. It's about identity. When you do hard things daily, you build the self-premiere of someone who doesn't fold. Then, when life throws the punch, you don't think, I can't handle this. You think, I've been here before. I trained for this. I can take it. Comfort addicts break when adversity comes. The woman who never pushed herself, never left her safe bubble, never faced hard on purpose, she will collapse the second life blindsides her. Don't let that be you. Prepare yourself now. Here's another drill. Set a resilience rep every day. One thing that makes you sweat mentally or physically. That might mean saying no to something you usually say yes to. It might mean confronting someone instead of avoiding. It might mean finishing that workout even when you're drained. Every resilience rep builds calluses on your mind. Because weakness says, this is too much, strength answers, I can take more. And every time you push through discomfort, you're proving to yourself that weakness has no control over you. Life will knock you down, that's guaranteed, but the woman who trains harder than life hits doesn't stay down. She gets up faster. She takes the hit, absorbs it, and keeps moving. Why? Because she's conditioned. She's rehearsed adversity in training, so real adversity doesn't own her. Train harder than life hits, and life will never surprise you. It may shake you, but it won't break you. And that is how you become unbreakable. Strength is not a medal you win once and hang on the wall. It's not something you achieve one time and keep forever. Strength is a choice, a decision you must renew every single day. Weakness doesn't take days off, so neither can you. The weak version of you is always waiting for a crack in your armor. She doesn't need an invitation. She shows up the moment you hesitate, the second you let discipline slip, the instant you let comfort win. And here's the trap. You can crush her today, but if you feed her tomorrow, she comes back stronger. That's why choosing your strong identity is a daily act, not a one-time event. Your identity is built through repetition. Who you become is shaped by the choices you enforce every day. Every morning, when you open your eyes, you cast a vote. You either vote for the strong version of you, the disciplined, resilient, relentless version, or you vote for the weak one. And those votes add up. Think about it. The woman who skips the gym just this once isn't skipping once. She's voting for weakness. The woman who stays quiet instead of speaking truth just this time isn't silent once. She's reinforcing an identity of silence. On the other hand, the woman who shows up even when tired, who trains even when it hurts, who tells the truth even when it's uncomfortable, she's not just acting strong, she's building the identity of strength. Identity is about consistency, not intensity. Anyone can be strong for one moment, anyone can push through for one day, but the strong woman is strong because she enforces it every day, especially when nobody's watching. Weakness loves the spotlight. She wants recognition for the bare minimum. Strength? Strength doesn't need applause. Strength is built in the quiet, repeated acts that no one sees but you. Here's a tactical drill. Create your identity checklist. Write down 3 behaviors that represent your strong self. Maybe it's waking up early. Maybe it's finishing every workout. Maybe it's speaking up in meetings. Those are your non-negotiables. Each day, you either enforce them or you don't. If you don't, you fed weakness. If you do, you reinforced strength. Track it daily. No gray areas. Another drill, eliminate sometimes language. Weakness thrives on words like maybe, later, I'll try. Strength speaks in absolutes. I will, I do, I am. Pay attention to your language. Every time you say, I'll try, you're training weakness. Every time you say, I will, you're enforcing identity. Small shifts in language lead to massive shifts in action. And remember this, identity isn't about what you feel, it's about what you choose. Some days you'll feel tired, unmotivated, uninspired, but feelings don't define you, actions do. Strength means you move regardless of mood. You don't let emotions decide your standards, you let discipline decide. Ask yourself this daily. Who am I choosing to be today? Because identity is not a label you wear, it's a choice you enforce. Are you the woman who quits when it's hard? Or the woman who shows up no matter what? Are you the woman who waits for the perfect time? Or the woman who creates the time? The answer is written in your actions. The strong identity is not built in one grand decision. It's built in thousands of small ones. And the more you choose strength, the more automatic it becomes. Eventually, weakness doesn't even recognize you anymore. She knocks on the door, but you don't answer. She whispers excuses, but you don't listen. She fades because you starved her. So understand this. You don't become strong once. You become strong every single day. You enforce it with every decision, every action, every choice. Weakness is relentless, and so must you be. The only question left is, who are you choosing when you wake up tomorrow? Let's strip it down to the core. This entire fight comes down to one question. Every day, in every choice, in every moment, who are you feeding? There are 2 versions of you. One is weak, the one who hesitates, makes excuses, softens the edges, waits for the right time, and calls compromise self-care. She wants comfort. She wants easy. She wants the path where nobody sweats, nobody bleeds, nobody risks. She is the version of you that lives for short-term relief but guarantees long-term regret. The other version is strong, the woman who does not negotiate with herself, the woman who doesn't wait to feel ready, the one who gets up, suits up, and shows up whether she feels like it or not. She knows the work won't always feel good, but she also knows weakness always feels good in the moment and always feels like regret later. So ask yourself right now, which version do you let win? Because the truth is, you don't become strong in some grand cinematic moment. You become strong in the small, daily choices no one sees. The decision to get up instead of snooze, to train when you're tired, to tell the truth when lying would be easier. Those little moments are your battlefield. And the weak version is always waiting for you to give in. Weakness isn't abstract, it's tactical. It knows exactly where to strike. It attacks when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're emotional, when nobody's watching. That's why so many people lose. They think strength is something they have. No. Strength is something you do. It's something you enforce. Every single day. Here's what you need to get clear on. Weakness never sleeps. She doesn't rest. She doesn't take breaks. So why do you? Why do you think you can beat her if you only show up sometimes? If you only give effort when it feels good? Weakness loves your inconsistency. She feeds on it. The only way to starve her is to outwork her, to outchoose her, to strip her of power by never feeding her. And that means asking yourself every day, am I feeding weakness or am I crushing her? Look back at your last week. Be brutally honest. How many times did you choose comfort instead of discipline? How many times did you hit snooze, scroll instead of build, excuse instead of act? That's weakness feeding. That's weakness training. And if you don't stop her, she becomes your identity. But here's the other side. Every time you did the thing you didn't want to do, you got up, you trained, you faced what you were avoiding, you crushed her, you fed strength, and that, too, becomes your identity. Because you are what you repeat. So understand this. Strength is not permanent. It expires daily. You don't get to say, I was strong yesterday, so I'm good today. Yesterday doesn't cash checks today. Weakness will show up fresh every morning, knocking on your door, testing your boundaries, probing for cracks. And every day you must decide whether you let her in or slam the door in her face. This reflection isn't about guilt, it's about responsibility. You can't change yesterday, but you own today. You can't erase the excuses you made last week, but you can refuse to make them now. The war is not in the past or the future. The war is in this moment. So I'll ask you again, and I want you to sit with it. Are you feeding your weakness, or are you crushing it every day? Not in theory, not in your head, in your actions, in your choices, in your discipline. And let me be blunt. If you don't know the answer, if you're hesitating, then weakness is winning. Because strength doesn't hesitate, it executes. Strength doesn't debate, it decides. Weakness loves indecision. Strength kills it. So here's your tactical order. Starting now, choose. Choose to crush the weak version. Every time she whispers, every time she tempts, every time she shows up. Refuse to give her even a crumb. Because once you stop feeding her, she starves. Once you starve her, she fades. Once she fades, she dies. And when she dies, all that's left is the strong version, the one you were meant to be. So tomorrow, when that alarm goes off, when that excuse rises, when that moment comes, don't think, don't wait, don't hesitate. Just ask yourself, who am I feeding right now? And then act like the woman who crushes weakness every single day.